What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 4. Getting right into it. I wanted to kind of talk about last week, how the games went, what my feelings were on the games. So I wrote down a few stats. Like the Phillies hit 244, which isn't great. They're averaging about 270 for the year. But 244, if you take out that 117 hit game where they got 8 runs, they hit 208. 63 strikeouts, and a strikeout rate of 39%. So that's just, it's a little bit too much. If I thought they were going to win 2 games, so they won 4. I just wish they won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins, and or 3 out of 3 against the Marlins, and lost 2 out of 3 against the Rays. Stott hit 409 in that 2 series. Bohm hit 318. Sanchez was a bright spot. So like this dude is supposedly the number 5, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 75 pitches and 51 of them strikes. So he's throwing strikes. He's trusting the fielders. One of the other things I would say is like there's 73 games left, and 51 of those games are against non-playoff teams. So if it's going to happen and they're going to make a run, like now's the time. We went maybe through the tough part of the schedule. What do you have?
My prediction of 4-2 was ass backwards. I could have sworn we were only going to 1 against the Rays, and we were going to either sweep the Marlins or at least get 2.
Yeah.
And it flipped. And as one of you guys posted on the site the other day, if Pache don't hit that home run, we might have got swept by the Marlins. But Sanchez is a little shaky in his game, but they won against the Rays. Walker let up 4 runs, but the bats helped him out. Nola just I don't even want to get into him. He pitched a gem versus the Rays, so I got to give him props for that. But he pitched a flopper against Florida.
It was tough to watch.
But on the bright side, it is what it is. I reset, going, they can come out guns. Our side is Florida has a harder schedule than us in the second half. We have most of our games are at home in the second half too. That worries me and it delights me at the same time because we've been doing good on the road lately.
Yeah.
And at home it's been, who knows? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, so we talked about the Nola Eflin matchup. I think that was as advertised. It was so cute. They swapped jerseys afterwards too, wasn't it, guys? Stott had it. Yeah, Stott had a day, 2 for 4 with a run and a ribby. You called it. Nola pitched a gem, 7 1/3, 5 hits, 12 Ks, 1 run. Walker, I think, was the one that really struggled in that series, and we ended up still pulling that game out. JT 3 for 4 at the dish, 2 runs and an RBI. Again, Stott 4 for 5, 2 runs and a ribby, and Bohm 3 for 4 with a run and a ribby, and also honorable mention to Marsh. He drove in too. And then game 3. Talked about Sanchez already, so I'll go to Schwartz and Turner. We're both 2 for 5 with a ribby each, and Hall threw in a homer. So, the bats were alive. We had some great, some decent starting pitching, a couple of great ones, and one okay. Marlins, we can't get off the schneid with this club. Since 2020, 26 and 27. And by the way, the Marlins were god awful until this year. So really terrible record against this team, and I can't understand why. Tied the franchise record with away wins, which is kind of a cool stat to have seen, again. But then, dropped the next 2. Ranger looked lost. Something's going on with him. I can't understand how you drop the pop-up, but also that comebacker to him was a big play that he usually makes, and that saves runs for him, and he didn't make either of those plays. We lost Harper for a game, thankfully not for more. And then, what'd you say? Stott hit 400 something the last two series.
Yeah, 409.
Yeah. So then they drill him, and nobody has anybody's back on this club, and I'm getting goosebumps because it makes me really fucking angry. So, all in all, I think Dugan's not here, so I'll say his line. We're 4-2 and we're pissed off at this team, but that's that's kind of what we're trying to elevate here, and that's why I think we're a little bit miffed at the 4-2 after we went 4-0. So, the Butcher, what you got?
Well, I agree with that, because like a 4-2, road trip should be cause for celebration, especially this time of year. Sweeping the Rays at the Rays, very important for this team. Like, we were all, like, the whole city was flying high. Like, every fan was like, we were on top of the world. And then they went down and they beat the Marlins that first game, where historically we just don't play well. We don't play well against them anywhere. We could play them in fucking, down in South Philly, and they still won't play well against this team. And I think the big issue is that they lost the last two. I think had they won the last one,
Yep.
if they had come in and lost two and then won one, we would feel a little bit better about this team. But the fact that they came in and won the first game, Noah pitched a gem, everybody was excited, he's back, beat Eflin, that was great. And then their fucking bats just went to sleep. And Chris, that's what I was just looking at right before we came on, is that they had 11 hits that first game against the Marlins, and they managed 13 for the last two games.
Yep.
And that's just not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. So hopefully, with so many home games in the second half, the fans start carrying this team and the playoff atmosphere starts kicking up, because we know what that does for this team. We know what it does for all our teams, but when Philly fans get hyped, it brings the teams to a new level, and hopefully that we see that in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that, just adding on is, like, I came in yesterday and, like, Stott got hit, Harper got hit. I was fucking pissed off. And I'm trying to explain it to my wife, who, like, she's a little bit nicer, well, a lot nicer than I am. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that no one would do anything. It's the perfect time. We're not going to, it's not close. It's not like a one-run game. We're down by 4, plunk someone. Like, show some guts. You have to back up your teammates. I don't know. And I thought Strom would do it, but the Crypt Keeper just wasn't looking to take souls there. It just frustrates me. Next thing we're gonna talk about is, like, looking ahead. And the only thing I thought was interesting, mine's kind of a little bit shorter this week. We're playing the Padres. There's going to be a doubleheader. They're setting the staff up in a way that Sanchez is starting first, from what I saw. So I don't think they're going to go backwards almost. I hope it works out, because I think San Diego is going to throw Snell, who, like, hasn't given up a run in, like, 100 innings. So I don't know if that's, like, the right way to go. I think, like, to me, you should start your first game back from the All-Star break, depending, like, with your best pitcher, if he's on normal day rest. I know they're going to say, Wheeler and Nola pitched a lot. And Nola, I haven't heard his excuses for his last performance, but I'm sure it's something. There was a P underneath his 20 mattresses when he was sleeping. So, like, he had a little bit of, like a little tweak. But if it's something like that, I just hope he owns up to it. Like, I don't know, if I do something wrong, I'm like, hey, I did something wrong, I'm sorry, He seems to be, like, making excuses, and I'm just tired of the goddamn excuses with him. Just be like, I got to do better. I was throwing too many 0-2 pitches over the plate. The other thing I noticed with Nola, and I said it was going to be short, but he is horrendous away. He's actually pretty good at home. His ERA is 1.5 higher away. And Citizens Bank Park is supposedly a bandbox, but I wonder if it's that comfort thing with this dude. So I worry about Nola's mental fortitude. That's my issue with him. I don't mind physical mistakes, but this dude just seems to be a mental midget in some ways, and he lets like things bother him that I don't think a major league pitcher should have bother him. Mike, where are you at with the next series?
Yeah, kind of short on research there too. I was looking at All-Star stuff, but I will say Manny Machado, coming off of winning NL Player of the Week, should have a very mediocre series. I've kind of just looked back at his history. He hasn't won it in a couple of years. This is his 8th one, but he seems to go cold after that, and so we might have caught a break there. I think the starting pitchers need to step up and do what they've been doing mostly in the last few series, and that's go, 6-7 innings with minimal hits and minimal damage on the run front. And then our stars, I'll say it again, I think I said it last week, our stars need to start producing. So we need to see the Turner, Harper, Schwarber, JT, and then Stott and Bohm, Marsh, those guys kicking in, and really, it's an important series coming out of the All-Star break with a National League opponent that we beat last year to go to the World Series, and so they might have a little bit of chip on their shoulders still this year. So, yep. Butcher, what do you think?
See, I do think that we should throw our best pitcher coming out of the All-Star break, and maybe it's to get them a little rest. Maybe it's, Topper's Canadian. Maybe he wants to come out and be nice in the second half. It's the reason why he didn't plunk anybody in that Marlins series. He's just a good guy. But no, I think we have to put our best out there. So, like, enough of this matchup shit. Like Josh Harrison, it paid off. I get that. But Marsh has to play. Stott has to play. Like, these guys have to be in there. And we say this every fucking week, because every fucking week he's giving these guys a day off like they're catching. Like, they don't need the day off. They need to play. They need to be out there. So it'd be nice to take 2 or 3 from San Diego, but, Snell's going to be a beast. It's going to be tough to get to. And then, who knows? Like, they could come out of the break soft and tired, or they could come out ready to go. And that's what makes this series so important, is because it's going to set the tone. And as fans, we need to know, all right, are you guys in or are you guys out? And we need to know right away when you come out that you're in. Yeah, that fucking makes sense.
Yeah, where you at, John?
John, what you got?
I'm thinking, I agree with the pitching and all. I pulled up the probable starters. I think it should be Wheeler versus Darvish, but it's Sanchez versus Darvish in the first game. Then you got the doubleheader, Walker versus Snell. That'll be a tough one, as the Butcher said. It's to be determined versus Suarez at the night of the doubleheader, nighttime game.
He always pitches well against us.
Who's that?
To be determined.
Oh, yeah. Good old TBD. Always kicking ass. And, you got Wheeler versus Lugo. I'm really not afraid of Lugo, but
yeah.
I would like to. I'm thinking the Padres have been playing sloppy lately. I know they just beat the Mets and all, but they're playing. It's a slop fest over there, and I'm thinking they're looking to make a statement out of the gate, and we need to come out guns blazing as well. So, be an interesting series. I'm hoping to get at least 2 of the 4 games. We'll see.
All right, so we'll move over to the over-under. So right now the Phils are at a .539 winning percentage, so that would translate into, I believe it's 87 wins. So I think that's probably dead on, right? If they keep playing the way they are, 87. But I think this team has the propensity to win 90 games. I think that's where I think they're going to be at. I think a lot depends on what they do in this kind of trade deadline, and we'll speak a little bit about that when we're talking about the All-Star game there. But I'm going over. I'm going to be optimistic on this one. I know it's a surprise to some, but I'm going 90. I want 90 wins. I think that's that's a low number for the payroll here, and they got to have 90. Butcher, what are you at?
I agree. 90's like the minimum. It's the bare minimum, and I know it's going to be hard to get over that. But I was just looking at the standings again just to make sure my eyes were not deceiving me. And guys, I regret to inform you, but Tandick, they have actually jumped us in the standings for the wild card. So now we got to watch out for the Giants, whether or not they're going to be there in the end. But the Marlins are going to be there. Milwaukee's going to be there. Either the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks are going to be there. So we've got some competition. I don't think anything less than 90 gets them in this year. I just think a lot of teams are on pace, even though we're right where we were last year. I think 90, 91, 92. Like, I would feel really good about 93 wins. But I'd also like to have, $1 million in my bank account too. I was going to say something that's probably not appropriate, but you know what I'm trying to get
I
at.
was expecting it. I was expecting that one.
I almost said it. This is a family program, even though we're drunk as fuck, right? So I'll call minimum 90. Be happy with 93. Mike, what do you got?
So I'm just going to walk you through my thought process. So I look through every single series they have, and I have them at 41 wins in the second half. I'm assuming that we're buyers for a starting pitcher or relief pitcher or some sort of right-handed left fielder at the deadline, right? And so when I kind of put that all into the calculator, it ended up with 89 wins. So 89 and 73 is a 549, so slightly better than they're at right now. I also think that gets them into the wild card. I don't think we can touch the Braves clearly, but I like them at 89 and 73. Butcha, if they're 93 wins, I'm on your team. I love that too. I would take the $1 million as well. So that's kind of my take on it. I think it's John.
Yeah, I'm about 90 to 92 wins. I'd like to see 92. I'm not one of these people that's, it's still early. We still have a whole second half. It's time to pull your big boy pants up and play ball. I don't think we've seen the best of these guys. I think for some reason I have faith in, the second half. They're going to come out, like I said, guns blazing. I think you're going to start to, for some reason, see consistent hitting, consistent pitching. The bullpen's been holding us up, pitching-wise.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I think they're going to start to wake up and get in that groove, kind of like last year, but we need it like right at the right time. And we need them to just come out with some oomph, like right out of the gate in this series, starting this weekend and going forward. And I don't think we've seen our best ball. I think they're going to turn it up. I think,
So everyone that's pissing and moaning on the page about like, oh, you're so pessimistic.
Right.
Why don't you post nice stuff? 4 of the dudes just said over.
Right.
So, suck it, and
Right.
eat it. Because we just were like, you know what? I think people don't understand realists over, pessimists and optimists.
Different.
Like, we just kind of call it how it is. Like, we're in the moment. So, like,
That's what it
sometimes
is.
we're pissed off. Yeah, we're not like typing things 10 hours later and like sending it to an editor. We're watching the goddamn game and putting our feelings out. So like that's what it is. But we had time to think about it. We all love the Phillies, and we're all going over 87 wins. So
Damn right.
here we are. So we're going to talk about the All-Star game, like moments or memories, or just kind of like our personal thoughts and our feelings about it. So I'm going to start with a negative thing, but I'm going to end with a positive because that's what you're supposed to do when you're giving like people's reviews, right? So, the All-Star game should be the best players in the league, right? I mean, we all agree on that. it shouldn't be the best players in the league, but each team needs to have a player.
Right.
That's bullshit. That's participation trophy nonsense. If it's 10 goddamn Braves and 10 Phillies and, there's no one else, fuck it. They're the best players. Play the best goddamn team. I don't want, we have to have, Brett Rooker. He stinks. He's absolutely terrible. There's 50 dudes better than him, but they're like, hey, it's Oakland, they're going down. They're like, shit, I don't know who the fuck to pick. We'll take Rooker. So, that's where I think it's a negative. The positive is it's out of the All-Star games, it's the best, right? I think the players actually play. There's not a guy lobbing it up there at 70. There's a macho, I'm playing against this guy and I want to strike out the best. I'm the, hardest thrower and I don't want this dude getting a hit off me. And the batters aren't looking to just hit a single. They're swinging from their ass. So they don't want to be embarrassed. So I like that. One of my personal memories and the first time I remember really watching the game was 84. And they played in Candlestick, and I remember in my neighborhood, we watched it at someone's house. It was the goddamn Super Bowl parties are, hey, we're all getting together tonight, we're watching the show, and it's Paul Owens was the manager, so that was something, and Mike Schmidt was there. It was Al Holland and Juan Samuel from the Phillies. Candlestick was the old chain link fence, so it's you see that stadium and it's still huge. And it's a piece of shit, but it's hey, I play on pieces of shit all the time, and maybe I could do this someday. So I loved the players wearing their own uniforms. This will never happen in today's game because they're not going to sell more merchandise. I mean, I think the ones this year are cool. Seattle's colors are awesome. It's super cool. Sweet. And I get it. But, I don't know. I would like to see, I'm sure the one Oakland asshole, the one fan of theirs is hey, I want to see Brett Rooker in the orange and gold with white cleats. But that's kind of, what I have. Where are you at, John? What's your...
Yeah, to piggyback off that, the uniforms, I think it should go, I think they kind of could, it won't sell as much as, actual made... specialty made all-star.
What about a patch or something?
That's what I'm saying. Right? I mentioned in the group chat the one night, let everybody wear their uniform, but then have a patch all-star game, whatever, and then in your team store, you could get, I got his all-star jersey.
Yeah.
Because it's only available on that, you know what I mean? You could go that route. I miss watching every, the powder blue Phils, the powder blue Texas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Astros with the goofy rainbow, and I just miss that stuff. But it's gotta be the best players. It can't be some flim flam dude we're just gonna pick whoever for this team. And as we said before, I think we should take the voting out of the fans' hands. Let their peers vote them in. Let it be amongst the peers, and even if you have to include the baseball writers, go ahead. They know their shit. But these guys making 50 emails a day,
Well, doesn't someone on a homestand have a benefit of that, right? What if the Phils are on a 10-game homestand before it stops? Well, there's a good chance it's going to be more Phillies. Because the ushers are out there hey, vote for Harper, vote for Stott, And
that's what I miss, too, the little poking the whole thing.
That's a good point. I do miss that. I forgot about those.
But, yeah, I just wish some of the traditions would come back. But my memory, 1989, the Bo Jackson crushed it that game. He hit that 448-footer in the first inning. I remember I was 11 years old.
Who did he hit it off of? Do you know?
I think Rick Russell.
Okay.
I think. I was looking it up earlier because I had to refresh. I think it's Russell. I have to go back. But that's a blast from the past, that name. But I remember Wade Boggs hit back-to-back with him in that inning, and they tied it at 2. And good old Mitch Williams played in that game for the Cubs, too, that year.
Wow.
So... yeah, and Bo was my guy. I loved him in football. I loved him in baseball. That was my guy. So I was Bo Jackson. Stayed up. I got to stay up because it was summertime, no school. Stayed up late with my uncle at my grandmom's. Watched it. Had some pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an event.
Yeah, that's and it is like you said. It is the best All-Star game. I just wish they would bring a couple little traditions back. But what you got, Mike?
So I, too, am a huge proponent of the own uniform. I just love watching your hometown guy with their uni on. We always wear the powder blues. I love those. So you guys already called it. I do have a couple of things like Ryan Howard in the home run derby. To me, was amazing. He didn't hit a home run, I don't think, for like 2 months after that because I don't know why, but I do remember Pete Rose running a catcher over. I think that's the way you should play, so love that. And then what I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night, though, is seeing how Topper and the staff handle the All-Star team, right? I just want to see – it's just something nuanced to me that I want to see, how he handles – trotting these guys out here that are supposed to be the best of the best, how he handles the bullpen, that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Well, who's starting, Mike? It depends. Like, is it a left-hander? He's not going to play any left-handers.
So
except for Schwarber.
that's exactly what I'm wondering. Like, with all these, all these studs, what's he going to do? So that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So, Rob, what do you got?
Well, I would love to see Topper play all the matchups and just go analytical fucking balls to the wall and just like use every pitcher by like the 5th inning. And then he's got Josh Harrison out there throwing, and he's got fucking Cody Clemens out there throwing. That would be my all-star memory. So I do have a few. You mentioned Ryan Howard's performance in the home run derby. I'll go back a little further. The Bobby Abreu performance awesome. In the home run derby. I was working at a bar in St. Augustine, Florida called the St. George Tavern. I was checking IDs and getting drunk for like $30 a night, whatever. And he started hitting home runs, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And he kept going. I'm like, fucking right. And everybody knew I was from Philly. Like everybody in Florida knew I was from Philly because I talked like I was from Philly. And I drank a lot back then. So every time he hit a home run at one point, I'm doing the ESPN noise. No. And this motherfucker kept hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. I think by the end of his spree, everybody in that bar wanted to fight me. Everybody. And Bobby Abreu won the fucking home run derby. So I had fucking bragging rights. Right. Thank you, Bobby. It's the only time I ever fucking liked you as a Philly. Every other time I thought this dude's lazy. But anyway.
Could you imagine if Abreu was like Facebooking around and we were around on social media while Abreu was like we would
have to
bury him
and defend himself.
He would have to like, I think even, he was one of those guys where like after that home run contest, I was almost like, I don't want any Phillies to do it. Because I feel like there's a limited amount of home runs you can hit. Yeah. And, like, I don't want any of them in that particular...
And he struggled the rest of the year, too.
Yeah, I thought some guys do.
He struggled like a motherfucker that year after that.
Yeah.
I think we can say he blew his load, right?
Yeah, that's okay. Like, I'm checking with the sensor. We're good, Rob. We are good.
Yeah, back to what I was saying real quick. I like seeing, like, the old school. I like seeing these guys lining up in their uniforms along first and third base. And they could go back to that and just wear like a National League hat, an American League hat. But when I realized, it was a few years ago, I was watching the All-Star game. And this is when I realized that we're still in a good era of baseball. Like this is like a lot of people are like, oh, baseball's boring, baseball sucks. Every pitcher they trotted out there was throwing 100 miles an hour. Every one of them for strikes. I was blown away. I didn't know pitchers were doing that these days. I was contributing to the page. I was writing on the blog and all that shit, but I hadn't watched other teams play in a while. And to see that and to see these guys just fucking pumping triple digits, I'm like, how the fuck is anyone going to hit this? And now we got guys hitting almost 400, 30 home runs at the fucking All-Star. But like, we're in a good era of baseball, fellas.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's a good segue. We're going to now do our Phillies minor league update where each of us chose someone. So I'll go first. One of the things when I like hear minor leaguers, I always think like, how would Harry say this name? You know, and I don't know if you guys still do that or the listeners, but I'm like, every time, and like, I came across this dude, and I'm like, I would love to hear like Harry say Orion Kerkering. So this dude is 6'2", 204 pounds, 22 years old. He was a 5th round pick in last year's draft, and 162nd overall. He went to University of South Florida, I think for 3 years, but it's one of those weird things. It might have been 4, but with the COVID year, he was like redshirted 1, or it didn't count. He's the 21st ranked minor leaguer, like in the Phillies right now, supposedly. But this year, he went from Clearwater to Jersey Shore to Reading already. So like this dude has jumped like immensely quick, 3 levels. You know, from A to low A, high A. Now he's a double A. 3-0 with a 1.10 ERA. 32 2/3 innings pitched, 49 Ks and 7 walks, a 0.70 whip, and 7-7 in save opportunities. So I watched a few of his games and I watched a few of his highlights. The thing that stood out to me is like, this dude legit is throwing in the 90s, like max effort. I mean, high 90s, 98, 99. Like, think Alvarado right-handed. This dude was hitting 102 at times, like consistently, pitch after pitch, and I would swear that the pitch was rising. He throws a sinker too, but this pitch was like rising at the end. His slider, outrageous slider, like unfucking hittable. He will throw it at 2-0, he will throw it, 0-0, he will throw it, not afraid to throw it at all. His third pitch is a changeup, which I think they're trying to develop. It didn't look as good, but I'm assuming, he's a right-hander, so he was going to be thrown against left-handers, and I feel like that's a nice pitch to have. Is like, he's going to slot as a reliever, like definitely. He might be the setup man and then closer in possibility, but I think this dude's going to see time. I don't know if it's this year, but I think he's going to be in the mix next year. This dude has a live arm. It was just like, when I saw him, and Rob, when you were talking about 100, like, this dude does it with, like, it looks like 0 effort, like just throwing 100 on the regular. So, it just amazing. John, who'd you have?
I got another position player this week. Piggyback off the Harry thing, I'd like to hear Harry say this guy's name, Rickson Wingrove. Or maybe call him Rixie Poo or something. But, first baseman for Jersey Shore. Big dude, 6'4", 260, power hitter. 23 years old, from Australia. He's a 261 batting average, 13 homers, 50 RBIs. Got 91 strikeouts, so you're gonna get that from your big boy power hitter.
Yeah.
First baseman. His on base percentage is .336. The scouts say, I've seen him play a couple games, on MLB. He looks pretty good. The scouts say he exhibits good baseball IQ, strong arm, moves well at first base, which I've seen, myself, like a few games, like I said, online. He anticipates where he should be when a play breaks down, they say. Controlled swing, decent speed for a big guy. And his World Baseball Classic stats weren't that bad either. He played for Australia. Let me see. He had 5 games, 16 at-bats, 6 hits, 7 RBIs, and a homer. 375 batting average in those games. Not too bad. I think he was like their star. Because honestly, no offense to Australia, I don't know anybody else on the damn team. But he's a lefty though, lefty first baseman. Okay. Lefty bat, he throws right though. But I mean, he's doing pretty good down there. Let's see if he can move up. I'm not sure who's the first baseman. Reading, I'm not sure, but I mean, he's looking good so far for a big dude. Just
John, talk a little bit about how you're able to watch the minor league games. Sure. Maybe a lot of people may not know.
No,
I
no
think
problem.
it's important.
Yeah, it is important. That's what I'm going to touch on in a little bit too.
Okay.
On something on another segment.
Okay.
But I get MLB TV through T-Mobile for free for the year because it's they offer their customers. But if you have a subscription, you can watch. You can't watch the Phillies; it's blacked out, obviously, because it's your local team. But you can watch any out-of-market game, which I do from time to time. I'll have the Phillies here and the Orioles over here or something on my tablet. But down, if you scroll down, they have the minor leagues. You can watch You can watch all four clubs. It might not be available all on the same night. Most of them are available every night. Like you might be. Clearwater's is a very low A, so they might be playing somewhere funky. It's like, oh, no, feed not available. You know what I mean? But most of the time, you can catch these guys frequently. So
yeah.
I like to, like I said, I'll have the Phillies on my TV, and I'll have like one of the minor league games on my tablet to, try to catch, know who's coming up through the ranks and try to catch these guys play. And it's pretty cool to see them. It's more personal at the minor league level. I like hearing their broadcasters and all, and they do their little promotions, and it's more, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But it's more up close and personal. I enjoy it, and I'm glad MLB started that this year. It's kind of cool. So,
Rob, what do you?
To be honest, I was a little remiss in my research this week.
Okay.
But I was looking through their draft picks, and they picked up this kid in, what was it, the third round, Avery Owusu Asiedo. I'm probably butchering that name, apropos. But this dude is like 6'4", 230, runs like a deer, hits the shit out of the ball. Like, this guy, like, he probably won't be up for a while. We won't see him, but I think this is a name we're going to hear. Watching
Where's
some
he
video.
from, Rob? Is he?
He's
high
actually
school?
he went to no, he went to Southern Illinois in like Evanston. So
Okay.
it's Illinois, Indiana, corn-fed, but he's actually from Canada. So maybe he played for the Canadian team against the Australian team. I don't know. But yeah, just looking at his stats and seeing a couple videos, a couple highlights, like I have a feeling this is somebody that we'll be seeing in the future, like pretty soon in the future. Like, we'll be hearing about him. I don't know where he's going to report. He'll probably report to rookie ball.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while, but I have a feeling this guy's going to. But then again, I thought Sean Bradley was going to be good. So, what about you, Mike?
So I'm glad y'all let me go last because with all of us picking the over, I went with someone we all know, but for a reason. Okay, so just hear me out. And to continue with the Harryism, it's Scotty Slap Nuts. So anyway, he's 29 years old. He's played 72 games with the Iron Pigs this year so far. 256 at-bats, 47 runs, 71 hits, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 11 homers, 30 RBI, 28 walks, 0 intentional. 18 stolen bases, 277 average, on-base percentage 353, 469 slugging, and 822 OPS. He can basically play anywhere but first, pitcher, and catcher. And he's in the last year of a really weird 4-year, $24 million contract that he got before playing a game.
Yep.
But here's my point. If we're going to go over 87, and some of you said 93, I wish I was drinking what you're drinking. But Harrison, I'm over this experiment. He's 36 years old. He's got 96 at-bats. He scored a whopping 8 runs. He's got 21 hits. Yeah, he hit 2 dingers. I think one of them won a game. Who cares? 10 RBIs. He hasn't stolen a base. He's hit 219. His 274 on-base percentage is abysmal, and 587 OPS. He struggles at every position except maybe second base, and he spikes himself regularly or falls down when he tries to catch pop-ups. So what I'm saying is let's give Scotty Slapnuts a shot. DFA this Harrison kid. The experiment is over. Let's get a little pep coming out of the All-Star game and the All-Star break, and let's get Scotty off of the AAA roster and onto the Major League roster. That's what I got today.
Yeah. That's
I gotta
that's
say-
funny.
That was the most supportive rant anyone has ever gone on for Scotty Kingery, with the exception of maybe his mother.
She's hot too. I heard. Just saying.
Probably a dummy.
So, Mike, right back to you with the dumbass of the week. So, what do you got here?
So, all right, guys. The moving truck is in the driveway. So, as a tribute to me leaving New England, the dumbass of the week goes to, we'll call her Sally, a woman in Maine. She's 64 years young. So she'll picture it, right? It's Maine. It's July. It's about 50, maybe 55 degrees. So she's like, hey, let's tend my garden a little bit. And then bam, her dog takes off into the woods like a bat out of hell, right? She's like, what is going on? And only for a second, because the dog comes busting back out of the woods with a black bear in pursuit. So what you guys got to know is every Mainer is trained. You get really big and you slowly back away from a bear, because when you live in Maine, you run into these things. Well, she's the dumbass of the week, because what she did was she punched the bear in the nose, and she's lucky to be alive. They had to drag her to the hospital. She's got multiple lacerations and bites, and the dog is fine because, as the old adage goes, he was faster than his owner. So that is the dumbass of the week.
Man, that is something else. That's becoming one of my favorite segments, because like last week's was awesome. So the Phillies make me drink. John, what do you got?
Oh, man. Hold on a second. I've been waiting all day to... It's not Phillies related, but excuse my French. It's going to be a couple F-bombs. Rob Manfred, you fucking stooge. Like, you say you want to expand the game, you want to make it more accessible, but yet... Here, the other night, I want to watch the Futures game. See the young kids like I do every year. See the young guys coming up and all. These are the future all-stars of tomorrow. You know, I want to see that. I'll watch the celebrity game. Why not? You know, see celebrities make an ass out of themselves. Later, I found out there was actually ex-MLBers in the game. But I go to put it on. There's nowhere on regular TV. Because, long story short, I have YouTube TV. And our agreement with MLB Network didn't pan out, so that's why I get my MLB TV off T-Mobile instead of through YouTube now. But nowhere in sight. I was all excited. I'm like, oh, cool. Phil's at 4, Futures game at 7, Celebrity games at 10. Got the brews in the fridge. I ate a good meal. I'm ready to go. Baseball all day. Then I'm sitting there, and it's not on. It's on Peacock. And it's not even on regular Peacock. It's on Peacock Premium. So they're even screwing the regular Peacock, people now. Like the people that got Xfinity now. Mm-hmm. And I'm snapping out. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then yesterday, the draft's on ESPN and MLB Network and the app. Oh, and the Futures game, they could have at least put it on MLB TV. It wasn't even on our own damn app. It's a disgrace. And he says he wants to expand the game, make it more accessible. Cut off all the Apple Fridays, the Peacock Sundays, the fucking Timbuktu fucking Wednesdays. Like, cut it all out. Make it how it used to be when we used to see the Game of the Week with Vince Scully. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or, Game of the Week's usually on Fox now, I think, right?
Yeah.
You have your Game of the Week on Fox. Have like a double header going on. You got your Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN. Everybody has those channels. Make it more accessible, or at least put it on MLB Network. Just make it more accessible. You're putting these things on platforms a lot of people don't have. And someone commented the other day, and I didn't answer back. Someone's like, "Well, get with the times. You should have one of these apps." No, I shouldn't. Why should I have to pay $5, $6, $7, $8 for an extra fucking app to watch something that should be on with the regular All-Star Game package? Everything else was on ESPN or MLB Network except the Futures game. The one thing I wanted to watch out of this whole weekend. I mean, I watched the Derby tonight, of course. But, I mean, that's the thing that I most like to watch. And I can't. So he's got to figure out and stop the blackouts too, because I see people complaining all the time online about, you know, they live in Ohio, but like closer to Pittsburgh, but they're Reds fans. They're blacked out from seeing Reds games, but they only get Pittsburgh, and like stop blacking out games. It's 2020 fucking 3. Like, make it more accessible, and that's all I got. Just Rob Manfred, just you know, like that's all I got.
There goes
Sorry, fellas.
There goes your free tickets to the All-Star game.
Oh, I've been waiting all day. It just burns me up. What do you got? Like,
so I got a tale of 2 halves of the week, right? So the beginning of the week, I'm riding this wave, right? We're 3-0 against a team that basically lost less than 25 games going in, and so that's amazing, right? So I'm thinking All-Star game, get a little rest. We got 1 or 2 guys maybe, didn't know who was exactly going at that point, you know, and then we crushed the second half, 10, 12 beers. That's what I'm thinking, right? And then the second half of the week, right? The bats die, our pitching struggles, we limp into the All-Star break, and I said it earlier, but Dugan goes, you know, we're 4-2 on this road trip, and we're pissed off. So, like, maybe I should be happier, but I wanted to do better in Miami after Tampa, so that goes Scotch, please. So that's what I got this week. I guess the butcher.
All right. Well, I have a few things here. Dombrowski makes me drink. He makes me want to drink because this team was not prepared for injuries, and you know, Nola and Suarez. Like, it seems like they're scrambling, and now we're talking about trade deadline deals, and it's like, you know, this guy's known for building winners, and he went out and signed Trey Turner, which everybody loves. Trey Turner makes me fucking drink because he's already got 10 errors. This motherfucker's supposed to be a stud, and I mean, I know it's an 11-year deal or whatever it is. Like, it's going to pan out, or he's going to get old real fast, and we're all going to be pissed. But yeah, I have a feeling it's going to pan out. But every time, like, I'll be honest, I work a lot, so when the Phillies are playing, I'm listening on the radio in my car, and just hearing that Trey Turner made an error pisses me the fuck off. Like, I don't even have to see him throw the ball or fucking boot it or anything like that. I just hear about it, and it makes me so angry because those are it's unforced, man. Those are mistakes that you can correct that shouldn't take place. And when they do, it just needles at me. And then real quick, John reminded me of this when he was talking about the Fox game of the week. There used to be a guy who did. I just looked him up real quick. He used to do he was the part of the number 2 baseball team behind, like, whoever the fuck, Joe Buck and his partner. His name was Tom Brenneman. I don't know if you guys remember this guy.
Yeah.
He spelled his name Thom.
Yeah.
That shit makes me drink. Who the fuck spells
He got
name
fired,
Tom?
too.
Who the fuck
I
spells
think,
it?
Rob, he was the dude that was like said something inappropriate and then like had to apologize.
It was about San Francisco.
And then called the Castellanos home run. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a terrible person. And there goes a long drive by Nick Castellanos.
That's where it started.
He's right. You know why he's a terrible person?
I think he said something about San Francisco or something.
That's
That's why he's a bad person.
Pompous.
His name.
No one likes that.
Fuck Thom.
Exactly. And then side note, it segues because this is how my fucking brain works. You guys remember Johnny Peralta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He spelled his name Johonny.
Yeah.
Nobody told his mom that's not how you spell Johnny.
Johonny.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Anyway, Chris, I'll kick it to you, man.
I'll tell the story of last night, but like a little bit more in depth. So Renee was out here for a while. My wife was watching the game. And then, you know, towards the end, she kind of, I think, you know, remember watching Ghostbusters, that one where there's the slime underneath the river and it's like as people are getting more pissed, there's like, the slime gets bigger. Well, she was feeling that, and she rightly went in and, watched some, I don't know, maybe something on Netflix that was, a little bit happier than how I was. As the game got over, and like, I'm like stewing about our players not throwing at a Marlin. I don't want them hurt. I don't want them injured. I want them hurt a little bit. Like, I want them to feel it. Back at the numbers, appropriate, not headhunting. I had to stay out here, wink, wink, another hour just to cool down.
Yes.
I am that pissed about it. Like, I do not think it's okay. And I feel like a team should, like, stick together. And if I'm feeling my pitchers aren't backing me up and I'm in there like a goddamn pincushion, like, I don't know. Like, I think maybe someone in the Phil's, needs to get code redded in the bullpen. I thought Nola should have said, you know what? Leave me in for one more pitch. You're taking me out anyway, and let me plunk this dude.
Right.
And then take me out. Like, show some goddamn guts. And then I said if he did that, I wouldn't have, like, ripped on him anymore. But we can't have nice things, and I just was a little bit angry. But it was the lack of throwing at another player made me drink. And that's pretty sad, but that's just the reality of a Phillies fan. It just upset me. So we're running a little bit long today, so I'm going to give the executive decision where we're going to go to the, a lot of people typed in some questions, so I'm going to go to that next. If we have to on the next episode, we'll kind of do like DPF Garage Talk, but I don't want to shorten it. So I am going to show questions on the screen of the people, and I'm just going to point to some, I'm just going to kind of call someone out. I'll take the first one. So Sig says, even after Sanchez's last start, is acquiring another starting pitcher the priority, or is it, a left fielder? What else do we need, and who do you think that's possibly available? So I think that the left fielder is the most important right now. The pitching is doing okay. I'm going left fielder, reliever, starting pitcher, and I want all three. But I want a left fielder who's, a legit stud. So I want Lane Thomas. I want Adam Duvall. I don't care who we have to give up for it, basically, except for, the unmentionable guys that we're just not going to give up for Adam Duvall or Thomas. Like, we're talking Painter, Abel. But, like, I don't know. McGarry, like, this dude may never pan out. Like, he should have already been here, kind of, right? And he's shit in the bed. So, like, get rid of him. Weston Wilson, he's not going to play here. If you didn't bring him up already, you're telling the dude, and he is, like, 39. So, he's old. Get rid of him. So do a package, and like the other people that I like is Kendall Graveman. So I think, Chicago, the White Sox are shit in the bed a little bit. You might be able to pry Dylan Cease or Giolito from them. So you could get Giolito or Cease and Graveman and Lane Thomas or Duvall. That's kind of who I want to see. I would not be surprised if the Phillies trade someone that's currently on the team that we're not expecting them to trade. And I'm just going to say that. Pache, I would not be surprised if he gets traded here, if there's any value or anyone's interested in him. So that's just kind of mine. So I'm going to go who's sitting next to me. So Phil V, if Sanchez has another good game, do you think we still pick up a fifth starter?
I was thinking about this on the ride over today, too, because in case anything came up about him. How many more starts does he have before the deadline? I have to see. He has at least, like 2 more starts maybe before the deadline? He
I would
starts
say
this
at
week.
least, probably 3, maybe, yeah.
I'm happy with these 2 solid starts, but I need to see, right up until the deadline, and I need to see, what we got from him. If he gives us 2 solid ones, if he pitches another solid one this weekend, and then throws 2 duds, I'm like you don't know, because then it's up in the air. What do you do? Do you do something, or do you keep him there and then he flounders the rest of the season, and then you wish you did something? Yeah. I like what I see right now, though.
Okay.
But I wait right up until you're up against it. And, see, if he pitches, 3 more solid games, I say, just leave him there.
All right, so the next one I'm going to bounce to Mike. So this is from Mike W. We've all seen the videos of Kelsey chugging beers. Who do you think the current Philly is who could chug beers as well? And which DPF member do you think would have the best shot of beating Kelsey?
So really great questions, Mike. Appreciate it. I think if I had to guess who would go head-to-head with Jason Kelsey, it would be Stubby. I think Stubby is he's like one of those quiet guys that just unhinges his jaw and throws it back in like 2 seconds. So I'm going Stubbs, and then for sure I go Chris Nowazik on our squad. I told him earlier this week, might have even been today. Today kind of feels like a week in itself, but I'm built for more endurance, so I can go a long time, just not for speed. So
Mike, I would not have bet on me because I am more of like a marathoner than a sprinter. But I would give it my best shot. I would just be afraid there would be like regurgitation. I've never really like do that. Like people did drinking games, and I'm like, why do you need games to make you drink? I just drink. Like, I don't need fucking quarters and asshole and all these card games. I have a game. It's called Drink from the fucking Keg every 5 minutes.
Like Pong. It would be me and my cousin, like at family parties. We demolish people. He's like, dude, we gotta stop winning. We're not drinking. I'm like, I'm drinking anyway. I don't need to lose. I'm not trying to lose so I can drink. I'm drinking on the side. I was like, if I drink all them cups, I'm gonna be done by 9 o'clock. Like I'm more of like a just I'm throwing them down, but I'll still be up at 3 o'clock and everybody's sleeping. You know what I mean?
So Butcha, this feels like something we would post. So will Harper ever hit another home run?
Short answer, no. It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's going to become like a singles hitter. I'm thinking more like a Tony Gwynn or a Wade Boggs, where he's just going to slap it to all fields. He's going to abandon the dead pull violent swing that he has, and he might hit one more out, but it'll be towards the end of his contract. It'll be after he's been sitting and playing. Like basically, he's been pinch hitting for a couple years, a la Greg Gross, and then he'll just come in and hit one last home run. Other than that, I don't see it happening. This dude's a fucking beast, man. Yeah. He's a beast. He's going to hit plenty more home runs. He may finish in the top 5, top 10 all-time Phillies home runs. Top 10 easy. But, he may end up – I don't even fucking know the numbers off the top of my head. He may hit 400 home runs as a Philly. I don't know. But I get it. I get where it's coming from because it's so frustrating to watch. Because he takes those huge swings. And it's like, yo, dude, shorten up a little with 2 strikes, make some contact, get him the next time. You don't have to – and he's hitting the ball. Can't complain. Here it is, 4-2. We're complaining about a fucking 4-2 road trip. I'm complaining about a dude hitting 300 because he's not hitting home runs, right? And who said somebody, Chris, it was you, said somebody on the roster is going to get traded?
Yeah.
This sounds dumb, but I think Josh Harrison is going to get traded. I think another team – no, I'm dead serious. I think another team is going to look at him and say, we could use a guy who can play a bunch of positions and, maybe get a hit once in a while.
That sounds like Gabe Kapler, like he's a giant.
Perfect. Tan Dick. You can take him.
Yeah, that is perfect. So I'm going to take this one because I actually did the research on this. So Rob C. asks, Dire Straits Walk of Life video, please confirm that the Phillies had a collision behind third base. So it's at minute 2, 42 seconds. It's actually Larry Boa and Greg the Bull Lazinski. So you are exactly correct, Rob. Tug McGraw was also featured in this. But good call. I never knew that there was that collision in there. And I never knew Walk of Life had anything to do with baseball. There's football, there's basketball, there's all types of shit in it. There's a lot of dudes wearing bandanas and cut-off jeans. So if you're into that, like, check out that video because I watched it very closely
One
today.
of the greatest intros of all time, too.
So Cindy asks, she stole this, but if you were an MLB player, what would your walk-up song be? And she says hers is The Bitch Is Back from Elton John. Cindy, you've always been nice to us. You're one of our biggest fans, so I don't believe that for a second. Wink, wink. We're going to send this one to... I'm going to send it to Mike.
It would be Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places.
Okay, and is this as a batter or pitcher, Mike? Either?
That's a great question.
I think Mike faded out on us, so maybe it's going to be Fade to Black by Pink
That'd be a
Floyd.
good one.
That could be a good one. All right, so
Work out well.
I am going to move on until Mike gets back with us.
There he is.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Someone was calling me. I would say both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay, so that would be your both.
Yep.
All right. Wow, I should have given this one to you. Eric R. says, is Kingery forever destined to AAA? He's having a solid season at the plate. Couldn't he assume the role Harrison plays? Butcha, take this one.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So that's an easy one. Let me see if there's any questions from today. Because I have a few others points. Because we're like going on an hour. I just don't want to go too long because I think people stop listening. Because I'm actually like, I need a beer and I think a few other people might need a drink. I'm going to stop here because like I'm looking at a bunch of others. We're at an hour. There's a few other things that I want to say. So Corner Pub Sports, Sean has been super helpful for all the questions I had technically and kind of like different connections. So I wanted to say thank you to him. Kylie and Jen over at Bell Smashers have answered all of my questions, been super awesome. Mike at Fired Up Sports, same thing. Super helpful, always ready to answer a question, help me with like technical and working the podcast. So I don't want to, I have to say something to them. And then last but not least, the Drunk on Broad. So Don and Eric, awesome podcast. Don had donated one of his Citizens Bank Park opening pictures that I actually put up here. Super helpful. Awesome podcast. Check them out. I kind of love everything they've done. They've had me on, and it made me kind of want to do this and at least kind of know how things work a little bit. So thank you to those people. I think it's important to say thanks to those who helped you get where you are. One of the things I'm going to plug is Rob, Mike, me, and John usually and sometimes is wearing one of our shirts. PhillySportShirts.com. All the Drunk Phils fan shirts are available there, directly delivered to your house. There's Drunk Eagles, there's Drunk Union, and there's also stuff that's not ours on there that Philly Sports Shirt does. So check them out. It helps support us. So, I appreciate going on and everyone who's bought them. Sum it up, like what we're going to talk about next week, just as a teaser, is we'll talk about the garage a little bit more. And my idea is I want you to send questions specific about the garage. How it was built, who's allowed here, what you did here, all of those type of things. And I really want everyone, I'm trying to get my wife on, and I would love to get others on from the show, just to kind of say, like, what is it like living with us, or like, what's awesome and what's annoying. So I think the more that you post that as one of the questions, I'm really going to try to get my wife on. I think Christy is more apt to come on. I have to beg Renee a little bit more to kind of come on, but we'll see. And I'm going to sign off now. So, as always, fuck Joe Carter, fuck the Mets, and go Phils. Enjoy the home run derby tonight, everyone. Good night.